Hello, my name is Josephine Evans, and this is
Courtney Smith.
And we are here at WNYE 91.5 FM radio, and we are about to be interviewed on the Mike and Me show. Thank you.
How do you feel?
Well, right now we're not really nervous because we've done this before. How do you feel, Courtney?
I feel fine.
And our camera person, Zakia Goldstone, she's going to be interviewed too. We're waiting here in the waiting room for a few minutes before we go on the air. Thank you.
Bye.
Shake your head on radio. Okay? You have to talk on radio. I know television is much easier. But
There's Mike.
okay? You just close the door. Okay, so we'll start out and you can introduce yourselves and then we can talk a little bit about the program and then we'll talk about your experiences. Okay? We're gonna have a great time, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
I'm joined in the studio by members of the Panasonic Kid Witness news team. Welcome. Do you want to introduce yourselves? Yes?
Hi, my name is Josephine Evans, and I'm from PS41 Brooklyn.
Welcome.
I'm part of the Panasonic Kid Witness news team.
Hi, my name is Zakia Goldstone. I'm part of PS41's Panasonic Kid Witness news team. Hi, my name is Courtney Smith. I'm part of Panasonic Kid Witness news team.
Well, welcome to you all. And do you want to talk a little bit about what the project is, the Kid Witness news team, how it got started, and how you got involved?
Well, Kid Witness News is all about kids that work together in a team. We record things and we interview many different people on different subjects. It's a contest that you enter. It's very exciting, and you get to meet new different people every day.
Well, how did, so what happened? Panasonic contacted your school. Do you know how the whole thing gets set up?
No, I do.
Okay, well, introduce yourself then.
My name is Jeff Goldstein. I'm the coordinator at PS41 for Panasonic Kid Witness News.
Right.
And the program started about 3 or 4 years ago, and it was an experimental basis with about 10 schools.
Right.
And then it expanded to 50 schools. When they expanded to 50, we were one of the 50 that they expanded to.
Right.
I had seen an article in the Daily News written about this program where children in elementary schools in the 6th grade were creating their own videos. And Panasonic was providing the schools with $10,000 worth of video equipment, their own little video studios.
Right.
And in return, the children would create their own news shows that were important to them.
And so once you got the equipment, were you swamped with, I mean, is it open in terms of how many kids in the school can participate?
Well, the way I run it is they have to write resumes for me.
Uh-huh.
Children in the 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, and 7th grade in our school had to write resumes, and they had to write cover letters and give me their experiences and why they would want to be a part of the Kid Witness news team. And
right.
From about 200 or 300 resumes, I had to sort through them and
right.
try to select a select few that I think would benefit and would really want to be a part of this program.
And how many kids are in the program in your particular school?
25.
25. So what did you put on your resume?
I put that I was good at holding things.
You wanted to be the key grip, huh? So do you learn all of the technical aspects of production? Is that one of the things? Why don't you talk a little bit about what the program, the kinds of things that you learn with the program?
Well, in Panasonic Kid Witness News, it's a hands-on program. You learn as you go.
Right.
It's not like you have to sit down and learn about it before you do it. You learn as you go, and it's much more fun.
I can relate to that. So what kind of? So you learn?
I learn how to use the camera.
You learn how to use the camera. Do you learn editing as
Yeah.
well? That comes. And in terms of preparing to do your stories, what kind of pre-production? Because it's not all just production. Do you sit around? Do you have meetings about the kinds of stories that you want to cover?
Yeah, we decide and vote on what everybody thinks is appropriate on what subject we want to do the news on.
And how often are you making news? Do you make news every day? I mean, do you follow news stories? Is it a project that you would cover over a period of a number of weeks? Just what kind of segments have you worked on?
Well, one set we did was about drugs, and we entered it into a contest, and it won. So that's the kind of stuff we do. We do stuff like drugs and stuff like guns and how to use guns.
In the drug program, how long was the piece?
It was 28 minutes long.
That's a documentary film.
Yes, documentary style. They interviewed people in the community whose lives are affected by those around them who use drugs.
Right.
How people are afraid to go out, or they have to change the way they do business, or how a doctor feels at a hospital when he sees drug cases come in.
Right.
A police officer, how they feel. And basically they just went around interviewing people and ended the tape with an editorial of their own about how they wish their lives were like their parents, where they didn't have these problems of drug use. They were able to go places without fear.
Right. So you sat around and you decided early on. How long did it take to make that piece?
Well, only Josephine participated in that piece.
Right.
That was a few years ago.
That was.
How long did that take, Josephine?
It took about a month. A month. It took about a month.
A month of going around and shooting and interviewing people.
Yeah.
And then you'd come back and you'd do editing?
Yeah.
And
He
then
teach us how to edit, and we'll catch on to it, and we'll do it ourselves.
Right. So you're using video cameras, right?
Yeah.
And so you edit on with video editing as well? That's a skill, video editing.
It takes some choosing between what's good, what's not good, and discussion, and how to select a song to mix in, and things that they have to do a lot of high-level selection.
And what kind of program, what are you working on? Give me another story that you're working on now.
I'm working on a thing about guns. It's going to be a commercial about guns. And it's a song. It's made from Old MacDonald Had a Farm. It's the tune from Old MacDonald Had a Farm. Right. And Mr. Goldstein said he think it will succeed.
He think it's going to be successful?
Mm-hmm.
And so do you want to tell us how you went through the whole process of...
Well...
How long is it? It's going to be, what, a 30-second commercial or a 60-second commercial? Or?
It's going to be like a 60-second commercial, yeah.
Right. And what kind of images are you going to have on it?
I want to have pictures of people getting shot and stuff, and pictures of people running from cops and stuff like that. So,
you're going to use existing footage. How are you going to... Because that sounds like a pretty intricate visual image. So are you going to use existing footage and shoot and record that, or are you going to have all still pictures? What's it going to look like?
It's not going to be all still pictures.
Uh-huh.
Some people are going to come on and act it out.
And then you've written new words to go with the tune Old MacDonald's Farm. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
You want to sing them for us? No? Well, and how long is that going to take you to get all that done? When is that going to be finished?
It's finished now.
It's finished now?
Mm-hmm.
And what are your plans for it? Are you going to enter it in one of the contests? Or yeah? Yeah. So do you work in groups, or how does the project get done? Do you work?
We work in groups.
How many people would be on a particular project?
About 4 or 5.
So, and there are 5 different projects running simultaneously. Is that right?
Well, we have 5 groups planning at the same time and writing, and then we decide which ones will go first.
So
in terms
then,
of production.
Right. So they have to learn how to do production schedule and all of that coordination as well. So if someone is out shooting, do you then have another group that might be editing something that they shot back at the school? Or?
Usually it sounds great in theory, but doesn't work out that way. It's very hectic sometimes. You have a lot of different things going on at the same time.
Right.
And sometimes you have to bring whole groups out with you to do the shooting. Sometimes
Right.
you need several people. You want a crowd scene.
Uh-huh.
You want a different look. Some people have to hold up different signs or cue cards or reflectors or microphones. There's many.
So you could actually, I mean, there might be times when all 25 kids are out on a shoot, and they would be doing all of the things that need to get done to get it done?
Yes.
Yeah? And do you act in it as well, or do you recruit other kids in the school to be actors?
No, most of the time it's just the people in the group.
It's this group of 25.
Yeah.
Yeah. And do you ever see the work of other, because there are how many schools in the whole program now? About 200, right? Is there ever a time when you see the work of some of the other students?
No.
No?
Not usually.
There's not going to be a big
There's an award
festival
ceremony,
or something like that?
but,
Uh-huh.
they're working on getting more contact and communication between the schools.
Right.
More exchanging of tapes, more creating pen pal schools that you could exchange your tape with, so that people are not so isolated.
Right. Right.
And we can, the tapes, it's in a competition, but it's an educational thing too, that you can watch what other people are working on and
Right.
create a lesson from whatever their topic is.
And so do you look now at the news or at movies or at television, do you look at it from a different point of view because you now sort of know how things get made? Do you
Yes.
want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we do, because the more we watch the news, the more techniques we learn, the more skills, so it'll be easier for us to do it when we do.
Do you, let's say you go to you see something on television, you come in the next day and you say, this is the way we should shoot it. I saw this great. Did you see this great thing? It was like, yeah, you do that.
Yeah,
That's
we
how
do.
you learn about too much space above the head. You can watch something and see how much space they put over their heads.
Right.
And then you can learn from that.
And do you look at all different things because the way that sort of news is being shown on television now has really changed with home video recorders, that people that have equipment like the equipment that you use are sending that into news stations, and that's those are the kinds of things that people are seeing now.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Do you walk around with the camera all the time?
Not all the time.
Not all the
Sometimes put
time.
on a tripod,
Uh-huh.
take still pictures. We do many different things.
Have you ever been out on a shoot
Yes,
Yeah.
many times.
and seen like news taking place?
Yeah.
Yes.
Really?
Some news crews even take pictures of us.
Or interview us.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, like I went to the Democratic Convention,
Oh, let's talk about that.
and it was a lot of people once we were interviewing. It was like really exciting because kids were interviewing other people.
Right.
So then by you doing that, then other people want to interview you.
Right.
And then you get more people that interview.
So who did you talk to at the convention?
I got interviewed by Nickelodeon. I got interviewed.
No, I don't want to know who talked to you. Who did you talk to?
I think I talked to one of the governors of Massachusetts or something like that, Massachusetts, and
You didn't speak to him.
and
So you interviewed the governor of Massachusetts.
yeah.
And what kind of questions? I mean, did you have a whole list of questions depending on who you were going to bump into?
But actually, we had 3 questions that would
Yeah.
would be suited for everyone.
Right. What
that you
were
could
they?
ask. I really talk about women's rights.
Yes.
Because that's how I am. I think that women are deprived of their rights. So I asked them, how would you feel if a woman was running? That was one of the questions I asked them,
Right.
and I got a lot of answers from that question.
And what you got did you get a whole range of different answers?
Yeah, I got one like, I think that they said I would be the president or something, and I got one that he said he would support a person. I got one said, I asked one of them, do you think they would bring him down? And they said yes.
Uh-huh.
And I asked him, would you bring him down? And he said no, he wouldn't. So I got many different questions from everybody.
Right. And was that, so how many people were part of the crew that went to the Democratic Convention?
There was 4.
4 of you.
Because it was a 4-day trip.
Uh-huh.
There was 4. I went Monday and Wednesday, and other people went Tuesday and Thursday. So there was 2 groups.
Did you get a chance to get the excitement of the convention, or, you know, you were part of the working press and, you know, you had to, there were places you couldn't go, and what was that? What was the convention like?
The convention was fun. There was a lot of different people there, but it was hard because we had to run up and go ask people did they want to interview you.
Right.
So it was pretty hard. It was part of the press.
Right.
We had everything that the press had, and it was really fun.
You get all those press lunches and things like that? Yeah. That was great. And what other kinds of projects have you worked on?
Well, we work with elderly people. We go to nursing homes, and we do tapes and show people how elderly need to be more realized.
Uh-huh.
And many elderly people are senile, have Alzheimer's, so we worked on one like that.
Right.
It was very educational. We had our glee club go to sing for them so we could cheer them up a little more, and we gave them presents, and they felt really good. There was this one senior citizen that I interviewed named Arthur. He just had a stroke. So while I was interviewing him, he started to cry. I was interviewing him about music and how he felt about it.
Mm-hmm.
He said music was very beautiful, and he started to cry while I was interviewing him. So that was very emotional.
Right. Right. And what other things have you worked on?
Last time I worked on a tape called Tales of Love. It was about a pet therapy tape where dogs got trained. It was in a pet therapy program. Then we took them to the nursing home, and we took the dogs inside there to the elderly people, and we let the dogs sit in the elderly people's lap, and they was telling them how soft they was.
Uh-huh.
And the elderly people was very happy because they said it reminded them of old times whenever they had dogs and stuff, and they really liked it.
Right. And you were shooting this at the same time?
Yeah.
And what was the piece? It was just about this program, this pet therapy program? Is that what it's about? That's great. That's great. So do you work on scripts as well? How does that all... Because there's so many aspects. There's writing and preparing for production. Do you want to talk a little bit about the kinds of preparation that goes in before you go out? Are there, sometimes you'll prepare things, and then as the shot is taking place, things get changed. And how do you, deal
Well,
with...
before we go out for the interviewers, they make up great questions that they want to ask people, and we go over the questions to see if they're appropriate, and if not, we cancel them out so everybody could agree on something.
And then how do you, because you shoot how many, if you go, let's say you were doing that, the program you did, where you have the Glee Club coming in and you have interviews with people, how long is that segment? When you started, did you say, well, we want this to be 3 minutes or 5 minutes, and then once you get all of your material, how do you then, chop it down, and is that a real difficult part in order to get the story?
Well, we take the most important scenes, the best scenes, so that everybody agrees on to make the video as good as it can be.
And do you have any time restrictions, or you could just let it go for... is that part of the assignment that, yes, we want to do this story, but we want it to be 2 minutes?
Panasonic provides time restrictions.
Uh-huh.
I personally would not like to see the time restriction because it lets more people do more things.
Right.
But this is a contest, and they have to provide some kind of guidelines.
Right.
And generally 10 to 15 minutes for a documentary. They have categories for public service announcements or for commercials, feature news stories, but the most it could be is probably about 10 or 15 minutes.
Is that a real challenge to, once you have all the material? Let's say for your commercial for guns was a PSA, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was that, is it done? It's done, right?
Yeah.
So was it really difficult after shooting all of the things? You have the song, and the song runs throughout the piece. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And then how many minutes of video did you shoot in order to end up with 1 minute of commercial?
I didn't shoot that much.
You didn't shoot that much? You like a one take? You knew exactly what you wanted and how long, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna go far, I can tell. And for your Democratic convention, you interviewed, there were 4 of you. So how long was that segment altogether when it was done?
2 hours and something else long. When you edit it, it was 45 minutes.
So you had 2 hours and some odd minutes.
Yeah.
And you had to cut it down.
To 45 minutes.
And were there ever points where you had the material and then you went into what might be described as a studio and shot some things that would then lead into the pieces that you had?
No.
No?
No.
So it was all...
It was all just standing
what
there.
you had, all of the material, right?
All your luck.
What was
walk by.
anything? Have you ever done an interview and then noticed that the camera might not be on or something like that?
That never happened, but the mic.
The microphone.
Yeah.
And so, what did you do? Did you can't use that?
You can't. You just can't hear it.
You couldn't put subtitles or something like that? No.
No.
You don't know how to read lips?
No.
Oh, that was at the Republican convention, right? Oh, sorry. So what have you learned out of this?
I've learned a lot. I've learned how to edit. I've learned how to use proper grammar. I've learned how to, just the right amount of space above the head. I learned many camera techniques, interviewing techniques. I've learned a lot.
Do you, is this something you'd like to continue to do?
Yeah.
Are you going to be, I mean, the program is just for this grade and then, or is it ongoing? What's the,
It's for the whole school, but it's mostly for 4th on up.
And so next year, they would be back in the program as well?
If they would write a resume.
So they have to reapply?
Yes.
Yeah.
They have to reapply. And how, I mean, in terms of what happens at the school, how cool is this to be part of this team?
It's nice. You get to miss 2 periods out of your class. But you have to make it up.
Uh-huh.
You have to make your resume as creative as possible. It's like it has to stand out above all the rest.
Right.
So unless you want to be picked, you have to think of yourself very highly.
And then once you're a group, what kind of feelings do you have in terms of the 25 kids? Is there must be a real special feeling that sort of gets generated by all of the kids that are in the...
Yeah, all that teamwork that's in the room, it really gets to us. We're a great team.
So next year, that's intense. Each year they have to reapply.
Yes, well, some are not interested to return.
It's like a job.
It's like a job.
Except we don't get paid.
I can relate.
Can I get back to the Democratic Convention?
Please.
They interviewed a lot of people. That Zakia only interviewed some of the people.
Right.
Other people they spoke to were Jesse Jackson.
Right.
And Dan Rather, John Sununu,
right.
Al Sharpton,
Paul
Songas.
Right.
Let me think.
Have you gone you have working press passes, right?
Uh-huh.
So do you ever go to, if the mayor's going to have a news conference or something like that, do you go?
Yeah, I went to City Hall before, but that was for the ceremony.
Uh-huh.
And I've also went to game shows to interview people, contestants,
right.
and how they felt about going on the game show.
Right.
We've done a lot of different things. We've met the mayor before.
Right. Are there people that, who's the most, in terms of your own life, the most remarkable person that you've met? Was there someone that you always wanted to meet, and now you have, you really have the credentials to meet anyone you want?
Well, really, you don't know who you're going to meet.
Right.
So you don't know if you're going to meet that person, or if you don't. So it's not really if you
Who would you, if you had your choice, your pick of anybody in the world that you could interview, who would you want to interview?
I don't know. I would interview everybody, I guess.
Be a very long piece. And is there anyone you want to interview?
Yeah, definitely. I would love to interview Janet Jackson if we were doing a music segment.
Denzel Washington.
Huh. That's great. And you? Anyone?
I would love to interview Ralph Tresvant.
Uh-huh. And so why don't Denzel Washington? He's probably around. Do certainly with the movie Malcolm X. Have you tried to get in touch with Denzel?
No.
No? No? Is that one of the things that do you go, are there people that you'd like to, and go about trying to set up for us to get you here, we had to contact like 100 different people. And they said, well, they're very busy. We could see if we could move it into their schedule, But we were lucky to have you come down.
We're popular.
I know. You're like the hottest the thing. So is that something that you would want to do? Try to contact somebody and do a segment like that? Is that something that you encourage them to do?
Well, not really.
Not really.
We tend to look more for a program or something ongoing that we could tape to show the rest of the school, and maybe make the tape for whoever's running the program, like the ASPCA with their pet therapy program. We're more concerned with pleasing them than pleasing Panasonic. We enter it in the Panasonic contest, but we're doing it for our own purposes also, for them to learn, for them to get out of the building, for them to become aware of other things socially that are going on, social problems, social issues. Celebrities is great. Mm-hmm. Celebrities are great to get on TV and on video, but we're not looking for them. If they're there, we'll certainly try to get an interview with them. If they're not, we're really there to do something else.
Right. So do you sit around and read the newspapers and look for stories? How do you go about selecting your stories?
We vote on them.
Uh-huh.
They are asked what's important to them,
right,
and to think about it for a few days, and then come back and we list things on the board. And we take a vote on what everybody would like to do.
Right. And what are some of the upcoming pieces going to be?
Another piece about gun control, another piece about drugs. We may be working with the mentally retarded in the near future and celebrating birthdays with them.
Right. Right.
We usually take the most important issues there are to make them more educational.
And then do these get shown in the schools, or what else happens with them?
Certainly in our school several times. In fact, I use a lot of the tapes that they made as part of my curriculum now. The tapes are not sitting in a box. They're not dead. They're live. And in fact, we send the tapes out. The ASPCA uses that tape as part of their pet therapy program now. The woman that we dealt with there, her name is Mickey Niego. She goes around and lectures across the country on pet therapy and takes the tape as part of her presentation.
Right.
She said, we've been on the news many, many times, but I've never seen it captured quite that well, where the pet therapy, the touching, the emotion, and I think it's mostly because these elderly people opened up for children. They'll be more responsive to a child asking the question. The same thing with the Democratic Convention. These people were busy. They weren't stopping for news reporters, but when the child would go up with their microphone and say, if you've got 2 minutes of your time for an interview, bingo, they would stop, walk over. They would be patient with them because it is a child, and you feel more comfortable with them.
And if any of our listeners, maybe some of the schools or something like that, were interested in signing up for the program, is it very difficult to get a school involved?
I'm not quite sure. I can give out the phone number.
Why don't you?
You can contact Jewell Jackson McCabe Associates. They're at 212-397-8890.
Okay, and I want to thank you all from the Panasonic Kids News.
Kid Witness News.
Kid Witness News team, right?
Yes.
Yes.
I'd like to say hi to all my friends. Asmi's, Calvin, Nikita.
You're going to name all of your friends?
No, Asmi's, Calvin, Nikita, James, Jennifer, Lakeisha, all my friends.
Okay.
And I'd like to say hi to 316.
And I would like to say hi to Mr. Wexler, Miss Key.
Okay, I want to thank you all once again.
You're welcome.